In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to get started with OneNote for Mac. I've been using OneNote now for over 10 years on both PC and Mac, and it is an amazing tool. And today's video is going to be for both beginners that are just starting to use OneNote for the first time, but also seasoned professionals that have been using it for a while. A bit of background about me. I worked at Microsoft for about 5 years, and I've worked in the Microsoft partner ecosystem for more than 5 years as well. And I've taught thousands of people how to use OneNote, which is why I thought I'll create this video specifically for Mac today. Of course, if you like this video, let me know by giving it a thumbs up, and if you want to supercharge raise your computer, hit that subscribe button as well. That being said, let's get into this. So we're on our Mac here, and I'm going to show you how to download OneNote for the first time. And we're simply going to open up our App Store. What I did there was I just pressed Command Spacebar to open up our Finder, and I've typed in the word Store, and you can see the first option here is App Store. But if you don't know how to do that, select on your Launchpad down the bottom and go over to App Store. It's the first one in the top left-hand corner. And let me turn on our cursor highlighter so it's easy for you to follow as well. In the store here, we're simply going to select on the search option and then just type in OneNote. OneNote is completely free on PC and on Mac, and on a Mac you just download it from the store. You can see we have OneNote, it's the first option that pops up, and we're simply going to select on download here. Let it download. It will take a couple minutes depending on how quick your internet is, but then you'll be good to go with OneNote. Another caveat here is that you will need a Microsoft account like a Hotmail or an Outlook account or a work account to get started with OneNote as well. These are free and you can sign up for them at Microsoft.com. Now we've opened it up, OneNote has opened up in our dock. A tip for you as well is you can right click on it and you can actually go up to the options here and you can choose to keep in dock. And this means that OneNote will always stay in your dock even if you're not using it. And then of course you can drag and drop and move it around to wherever it suits you, so you're not always having to search for it. You're going to have this little pop-up here about your privacy. You can simply read through this around diagnostics if you want, or just select on next. And then you can choose to provide feedback to Microsoft about how the program runs. I like selecting on yes to give them data, but you can also choose on no. This won't affect your experience at all. So OneNote has just downloaded and installed on our Mac. And the first tip I will give you is that to get the most out of OneNote, you also need OneDrive installed on your computer. The reason for this is that if you save your OneNote files to your OneDrive, you can access it from your phone, another device, and you can also share and collaborate with other people. If you don't have OneDrive installed on your Mac and you don't sign in, then unfortunately your OneNote just stores on your PC or on your Mac. And that means that if you break your computer, you lose all your OneNotes and you lose some of the sharing functionality and online capabilities too. I'm not going to show you how to install OneDrive on your computer today. I'll make that in a future video, but it's really quite simple. For this example, I've already got OneDrive installed on my PC and I'm going to sign into my OneNote. So you can see here that we're on OneNote, and in the bottom left-hand corner, I've got my little person that says sign in. I'm simply going to select on sign in and sign in with my Microsoft account. Now that we've signed in, we're just going to go through the Microsoft policies here. You can choose to read them if you want after, but we've signed into OneNote, and what we're going to do now is actually look at starting a few notebooks. So you can see here we currently have no notebooks that are open, but when you think about OneNote, think about it as a filing cabinet where you keep notebooks inside of it, and inside of that filing cabinet you have the notebooks that have sections and then have pages. So to get started with your first notebook, we're going to go down to where it says, or up where it says notebooks here, and then down the bottom, once we click on notebooks, there is the button that says add notebook. Another way to do this is in the file section up the top. We can go new notebook or open a notebook. For this example, we're going to create a brand new notebook, but it's going to open up that same dialog page anyway. We can create a brand new notebook. We can look at our recent notebooks, or we can open one from our file explorer as well. You can choose a color of your notebook that you can customize later. For this example, I'm just going to select on Blue Mist. And on the right-hand side of that, you can add a title to it. I'm going to call this OneNote YouTube Demo. And then when it says where underneath, that's where you're going to save it. You can either choose it to save to your personal OneDrive, or if you have your work account on here as well, you can save it to your work OneDrive too. And now I'm simply going to select on create. This is going to take a couple of moments while it creates that OneNote notebook and stores it to your OneDrive. And then it says getting notes ready, and then you're ready to work. In here, you can see it breaks down with basically you have your OneNote YouTube demo, and that is the title of the notebook. Then it breaks down into sections and pages. What I'm going to do to make this a little bit easier for you to start from the start is I'm going to actually open up one of my existing notebooks and also teach you how to do that too. We're going to select on File again. We're going to go Open Recent. This is going to take us to that similar page where instead of selecting New, we selected on Recent, and this shows us all the notebooks that we've ever used. You can, of course, scroll through and find your recent notebooks, or you can use the search in the right-hand corner to search for the notebook that you're after. I'm going to open up my YouTube notebook, which is where I do a lot of my YouTube ideas and scripts and things like that. I'm going to open this up, and then I'm going to open up a second notebook as well, which is my personal notebook, which I call Weekend Plans, and open this one up too, so we can have a few more examples here. Depending on the size of your notebook, it will take a second or a couple of seconds for it to download and open. My Weekend Plans notebook is quite large, so it'll take a little bit longer to download. You'll see here when you open up all your notebooks, you can see the color of the notebooks, but then there's also that little syncing symbol next to it. That means that it's syncing right now and it's not fully up to date. So give it some time and that syncing symbol will disappear. If you want to make sure your OneNote is syncing, which it should automatically do in the background, you can simply right click on a notebook and then you can choose to go sync this notebook now, and this will force it to sync. Or if you right click again, you've got a few options here around sharing the notebook, the color of the notebook, moving it up and down, or opening it in a brand new window. We're not going to do any of these right now, but we are going to start working in our OneNote YouTube demo notebook. So we're in here and you can see it's automatically created a section, which it calls New Section 1. And then next that you have Pages. If I jump to my YouTube notebook, this will give you a little bit more idea of how I work with it, where I've got my big folder, my YouTube. Then underneath that, I have a few tabs, scripts, sponsorships, and ABNs. So all my sponsorship things going one, all my ABN things go in the other, and all my scripts go into scripts here. And you can see I can scroll through and these pages do look a little bit different depending on how I've used them. I think this is a great example of my top 10 MacBook accessories of how I used a OneNote page for this, where I basically dumped a whole bunch of ideas here, and then I refined that list using tags, and then I put a tick box next to it all, and then I created the script. OneNote is an infinite page, so you can actually keep writing and writing and writing. You're never going to run out of page. You're never going to run out of space on a page. But I'm going to show you what we did here to create something similar to this. Let's jump back to my OneNote YouTube demo. And first thing we're going to do is actually rename this section by right-clicking and then selecting on Rename. What we're going to do is we'll call this Demo Ideas or anything you like. And everything to do with demo ideas can go into this section here. You can, of course, create more sections down the bottom by selecting on Add Section. This one could be sponsorships, anything like that. But basically, they are a folder that has things that relate together. So under Demo Ideas, you can see we have an untitled page here. As soon as we start typing a title into this page, it will actually rename the untitled page here and pull the title across. What also happens is that when you add a new page, it automatically puts the date and the time that page was created, so you know when that page was first created. And then, of course, you can start working under here. If you want to sort your pages, so if like in my YouTube, I have a whole range of pages, there is a little sort button here. We can sort by alphabet, by date created, date modified, all that sort of stuff. I'm actually going to go to and sort this by date modified, and then I'm going to scroll up to scroll to the bottom. And this is a script that I was creating, or I guess a range of steps for making this video. So we've done our downloading. I'm going to tick that. We've signed in. I'm going to tick that. And now we're learning to create our first notebook. Let's tick that again. And of course, we're going through our layers, our OneNote section and pages. So let's tick that, but I'm not done yet. Because what we have here is a cool little tick box. There are in our insert section, in the home tab, it doesn't have as many features as what something like Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint would have, but it has more than enough to get you started with using OneNote as your digital notebook. And what I love using are these tick boxes or these tags. You can see in the insert section, we have our paste, we have some of our regular formatting, we have some heading choices, and then we have this little drop-down menu of tags. It has 5 predefined ones, and you can also create a custom tag yourself. I love using the to-do tag because if I select on it, it creates that tick box and I can start creating a list, hit enter, add another item, hit enter again, and off we go. I have two ways of ticking off these items, and that first one is by selecting and just using the mouse. Or if I select on the item, I can use the keyboard shortcut Command 1, and that will tick it. And if I select anywhere on a page, and I use the keyboard shortcut again, Command 1, I can actually start creating these lists as well. So it's really quite cool. Command 1, let's tick that off. So that is an amazing way of working with OneNote. As you can see here, I've actually got infinite canvas to show you that OneNote is an infinite canvas. And what you realize here is that it basically sets the border up, but you can tick anywhere or click anywhere and you can start writing away. And then it will extend more of that page for you. So you can actually just keep going and going and going. I wouldn't recommend making a massive OneNote page because then it just gets confusing. But basically, you're not going to run out of room here. You can just keep writing on the same page. So let's tick infinite canvas. Also, now's a good time to let you know that we're going to go through everything on this tick box in this video. But of course, we're not going to go through every single feature of OneNote because that would make this video way too much information to take into one video. But of course, if there is something you want to learn that we don't cover today, let me know in the comment section down below and I might make a video specific to that. So if we're looking at sorting pages, of course, that was done with our little drop down menu here. We can choose to sort it by none, alphabetical, date created, or date modified. This becomes really handy when you actually create a lot of different pages inside of a section because it just makes it easier for you to keep track of. I usually keep it by date created, not date modified. Date modified, I find, jumps it around a little bit too much, but date created keeps it in a nice chronological order for me. So now let's tick that off and let's see what the next option is that we're going to look at, and that is inserting and working with documents, which is a massive reason why I like working with OneNote. Let's jump back to our YouTube OneNote demo, and we actually going to add one more page, and we're going to call this working with PDFs or documents in general, right? So if we go insert, there's a few cool things here on the insert tab. And before we get into documents, let's actually look at the table section because this is actually quite handy too. You can insert a basic table by simply selecting on the drop down menu here and then choosing how big of a table you're after. It'll drop it in and then you can move it around. And then of course you can either right click on the table and you get the table options to insert, add, delete, or if you simply select on it, a little table icon pops up in the ribbon here. We can select on that and then you can edit the table as well by inserting, adding, deleting, all that sort of stuff here. And then you can customize a little bit by choosing shading as well, or even by sorting, by ascending and descending. I like using tables in OneNote when I am quickly trying to figure something out or just make something look a little bit neater than instead of just writing blankly on the page. They're really handy and I'd like to know how you use tables in OneNote. Let me know in the comment section down below. But for now, I'm going to select on that table and then I'm just going to go and delete the entire thing. Bye-bye. So let's go back to our insert tab and we're going to work with some documents here. You can see under insert, we can choose a file printout. So we can choose a file, a printout, or a picture. If I select on file, this dialog box is going to pop up. It's going to ask us to choose the file. I've got a preset one here and I'm going to open up my Korean phrases. It's going to give us three ways to insert this. One is to upload it as a OneDrive link. Second is as an attachment. And third is as a printout. I usually use attachment or printout, and I'll show you why. Inserting it as an attachment just drops it in where you can quickly double click on that PDF and it's going to open it up in another window. But what's really cool is that if you go insert as printout, I'll drop in that same file, insert it. You can actually see that this massive PDF document has just been inserted into my OneNote page, and I can start working with it inside of the confines of OneNote. And then if I choose to select anywhere near it, I can start writing and annotating on the side, which is really cool. Or if you select on the Draw tab, you can even select to use your pen, your marker, and your highlighter and go through and highlight things as well. So this is great when I'm actually reading documents and wanting to make notes next to it, being able to annotate and put notes on it and to the side of it. It's really a game changer. Back at university, I used to have pages and pages of physical printed things. Then I started using OneNote and my printing reduced so much. And the cool thing is you can, because it's digital, you can refer back to it in years and years and years from now. It's always going to be saved in your OneNote and on your OneDrive. But that also leads me to a point of, well, it's great when you have it right in front of you and you've just used it and it's fresh in your memory. But what if you're looking for something from last week, last month, last year, 5 years ago? Can be a little bit harder to find it just by remembering, which is where search is massive in OneNote. On the left-hand side of OneNote, you have our notebook section, but then there's also search and there is the recent section as well. So if I select on the search icon, you can see here, I actually started typing in Korean, hit search, and then this is actually pull up everything that says Korean in my OneNote. It actually changed OneNotes. So if I type in Korean again and hit search, it's going to show me a section called Korean, but that's actually in a weekend planned OneNote. And then it's going to show me everywhere else where I've written the word Korean in OneNote. And give it a couple of, depending on how long it takes to index, connecting to the internet, the page that we were just working on as well, that will also be indexed. So if we're searching for the thing called Korean phrases, it might take a little bit of time, but eventually if I type in the word Korean phrase dash, let's see if Korean phrases dash, you see it actually finds it and it pulls us straight to it because it knows OCR, character recognition. It can actually read uh, PDFs that you've put in here. Another great example of the search would be looking for a recipe I screenshot a few years ago for banana bread. So I'm going to search in banana bread, hit enter, and you'll see here it says banana bread breakfast smoothie. That's actually in a different notebook under a recipes section. If I open this up, you'll see here, this actually created the 1st of May 2022 in a different notebook, but it's pulled up the word banana from the title, but also from the text and even the photo here. You can see here it says banana is highlighted, banana again. So being able to search in OneNote is phenomenal because it allows you to just basically dump everything in there and use search to find what you're after instead of relying solely on your memory. So this makes using OneNote so much easier because you're not looking for things anymore. You're just pressing the search button and finding what you're after. When it comes to sharing and collaborating with OneNote, one of the biggest benefits for OneNote is the fact that you can work on documents and share with notebooks where multiple people can work in the one notebook. To do this is really quite simple. In the top right-hand corner of OneNote, you see we have the little share button. And of course, this is where OneDrive comes into play, where you can select on share, and then you can choose to invite people to the notebook. You can copy the link and give it to them, or you can send them a copy of the page. If you choose invite people or copy link, they're going to have access to the entire notebook. And I'm going to select on the option of invite people to this notebook. This dialog box is going to pop up and you're going to put in the people's email addresses. You can give them a message if you like, and you can give them either editing permissions, or if you just want them to view it, untick that and have them on read only, and then simply hit share. This will give them the access to the entire notebook. So if you have something confidential, remember, if you do share them the notebook, they're going to see everything in there. If you choose to go send copy of page, this will take a snapshot of that page and send it as an email, but that means it's not a live document. I use shared notebooks for work all the time, and it really helps collaboration with my team, especially when we're all working from different places and we just have the one document where everything can go into. Sometimes you need to work in multiple OneNote pages at the same time. You could be working on a document where you've got information in a few different pages, and instead of jumping back and forth between one page to the next, always having to scroll through, you can simply create a second OneNote by right-clicking on a page and selecting Open in New Window. If I open in New Window, you see we have two versions of OneNote now, or two copies of OneNote side by side. And then I can possibly be in, say, my OneNote demo, for example. I'm going to select on the hide navigation pane, and then our OneNote YouTube demo page, so I can have it side by side here as well. So the ability to open multiple OneNotes at once really means that you can actually work productively because you're not constantly swapping between pages. And now I'm going to tick that because we've just done new window and move into something called adjusting page view, which is massive for me because my eyes get quite tired, especially looking at a white background. And this is where we're going to go over into the view section. On the right hand side of View, you have two options here called Paper Color and Paper Style. Paper color for me is a beautiful way of reducing the amount of white light that affects your eyes, especially when working in OneNote, where you can add a nice pastel to the background. So it's just a little bit easier on your eyes. You can also choose to switch the background in the left-hand corner, which goes from light to dark mode. And this is another great way to not only save battery life on your computer, but also reduce the harshness of the color on your eyes. If you prefer working with ruled lines, you can also drop down the paper style and add ruled lines to your pages. If you're using OneNote on an iPad or OneNote on a Windows device that's pen enabled, this is a great way for when you're writing with a pen as well to make sure your lines stay straight. But even just being able to change the paper color is a big game changer for me in the fact that I can customize the view and reduce the impact on my eyes just that little bit. And of course, switching backgrounds, amazing, because then you can really work in dark mode and then quickly switch back when you want to see what it looks like for other people. So let's tick off adjusting page view. Another big thing with OneNote is what happens if you accidentally delete a page. Well, you can right click on a page and go delete, and this will delete that page. But then maybe you actually deleted it by accident. Or what if we delete an entire section? When you go to delete an entire section, it will pop up saying, are you sure you want to delete this? It's going to get rid of everything. For now, I'm actually going to quickly add a test here so we know that it is deleted. Going to delete the section and go yes. If we go into the view section, which I think is an odd place to keep it, but you have your deleted notes section here. We have a little drop down where you can view the deleted and empty deleted notes, or you could delete history for this notebook. I wouldn't recommend disabling history for this notebook. I'd just go view deleted notes, and you can actually see here that the deleted pages and the deleted sections are here. So it says you can Control Plus and click on the page to restore it, or what I like to do is actually just right click and go restore to, and this will restore as well. And you can choose where you want to bring it back to. It doesn't always have to go back to the original place it was saved. You can choose somewhere else to save it. But for this demo, we're going to select to restore it back to OneNote YouTube demo, bring it back, and then off we go. So now let's jump back to our OneNote YouTube demo, get out of our restored pages, and we'll see here that it's back. The last thing I want to leave you with for today is how to password protect this section on OneNote. This is really important if you are sharing your notebook with multiple people and you do have confidential information, or if you just want people, if they get access to your computer, not to be able to open up certain sections. Again, in the View tab, we're going to select on the section that we're after, and you can see in the middle here, you have password protection. If we drop this down, we can choose to protect the current section. It's going to pop up and it's going to say select a password for sponsorships or whatever that section is called. But a note here is that you cannot restore this. If you forget the password, you can't recover your data. So make sure you remember what this password is. Once you set the password, hit set password, and it's going to start protecting that section. But again, if you forget what this password is, there is no way of actually restoring it. So you can see here, we now have a little unlocked lock pad next to it. But if we right click on it, we can choose password protection, and we're going to lock this section right now. It's going to lock it, and it says it's password protected. We're going to select here and then put in that password. Or if you've got a Mac with fingerprint ID, you can of course choose to unlock with fingerprint, and we're going to unlock it. You can right click on it under password protection again. You can choose to remove the password if you don't want to have that password on there anymore. Or if someone's figured it out, you can choose to change your password as well. And that is a lot of information with how to get started with OneNote on your Mac. Of course, in this video, we didn't go through everything, but I wanted to give you a good introduction to how to get started with OneNote. Let me know what you think about OneNote in the comment section down below. If there are certain features or functions you're wanting to learn about, let me know as well, and I'll try and make a video on those. Of course, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you want to supercharge ways your computer, hit that subscribe button as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.